does it feel that you've made, I believe you said 46 Black Series figures from The Mandalorian? Like, what is that like?
Is it 46?
Yeah, something like
it was
that.
like
40 something.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Close. Yeah. But it's amazing to have a piece of content that is so rich in characters that we can go that deep. I mean, I think it probably hasn't been since the original trilogy that we've had that kind of richness of character. So like all the new content and Mandalorian specifically, just it's outstanding.
Yeah.
Was your question just how does it feel?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels great. I mean, when we were up there talking about at the panel, and we're like up to 40 something. It was amazing that we were able to go that deep. It just shows the power of that entertainment. 3 seasons in, so many cool characters continuing to give. There's a lot that we can still do, but just having like the Imperial Commando out there and everything along those lines, just like really exciting to have.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a favorite figure that you talked about yesterday?
Okay, good.
narrowed
it down a little bit.
I
Oh
know.
man,
I'm not going to ask you your favorite figure ever.
Yeah,
I have too many children. Favorite figure.
Oh yeah, no, did you see that?
You answer, I'll think.
Okay,
I'm going to go through the case real quick.
Yesterday I did say the Commando was my favorite.
I've got one. You're going to steal it though, I know.
Today, let's see if we're going to say the same thing. Today, I'm feeling the Blurg. Is that what you were going to say?
No.
Oh, okay, so let me finish first then. Blurg is currently my favorite. I think because I was standing over there today and just looking at the creature and looking at it just like
it's very fun.
It's very fun. I'm just like ready to take the Mando, put it into his mouth, rethinking about that season 1 scene that we saw, like Mando on the ground. You know, it was such a fun throwback because can you believe it? Like season 1 was so long ago.
I know.
So I'm
and that's one of those earliest scenes from that too.
Yes.
It's wild.
Yeah, but such a cool creature to have out there. You know, to go back into creatures for the vintage collection.
Yeah.
Right.
One of my favorites. What about you? What were you gonna say?
Well, I'm gonna say what I thought you were gonna say, and that is IG. With Grogu NMC, I say it. Yeah.
I mean, I love that one, but
I figured you'd go for cuteness, and babies everywhere.
Yesterday.
But,
right.
Yeah, I love the detail and the fact that we got the chance to go back and do that character, redo that character, and kind of like ground up, address all that and all the little details. The Anzellan's in it, it's fun.
They're very cute. I mean, what was there like specific challenges when like designing that? You know, because the little controllers are articulated, right? Which is so cute.
Yeah, I mean, I think just knowing from the beginning that we wanted to put the multiple characters into that chest cavity and making sure that worked right, and didn't get it out of whack proportionally or anything. I mean, I would say that was the challenge there, but I like challenge and that it was an identified thing we wanted to do, not so much in that it was hard to do. Like, I mean, because I don't want to take away from the team. Like, the team just knocks it out of the park every time. Like, we're standing next to a case full of beautiful stuff, and there are challenges with all of them, but the team rises to the occasion every time. So.
Yeah, but you can see, and Eric did a great job. Eric and team did a great job. Tom, the sculptor, like basically that the chest opens so that the figures fit in. Like they thought through every single one of those pieces. The fact that the mouth and the eye pieces like rotate, for example, they thought through all of that to just imitate the scene as much as possible, like as we saw in season 3.
And to make it convenient and natural to do.
Right. Yes.
As a fan who wants to move things in and out and change stuff, it's not hard.
Right.
So
yeah,
balancing all of that, like production concerns, aesthetics, what we saw in reference, all that. Yeah, I mean that's where for me, like all those problem-solving things, that's part of the fun of what we do.
Right. I was gonna ask, like, what's it like having kind of those like engineering, like problem-solving kind of things whenever you're designing?
That's part of what I personally love about it, is that problem solving. I mean, I like a good puzzle and trying to figure out how to address each of those issues because each one's different. Every figure has its own thing. Every creature, every building we do. I mean, the cantina, that is a whole other thing. Next level of solving that out and how we how we plan from the beginning to do things and how we have to pivot when things come up and how we have to change. And just doing that smartly to end up with an amazing product in the end.
Yeah. I mean, I can only appreciate the expertise, from Chris, Eric, Emily, and they do an amazing job. But I know the things that they think about. Like, they think about, how firm is that plastic? Will it bend? Will it stand? Will it do that pose that, fans are expecting from that show, from that scene? They think about how the helmet fits, how the portrait is like, what fans would do if they would swap this and that accessory. Everything they think through, it really takes a village, and I love the level of detail and attention everyone pours into it, and like the love everyone pours into it. So, definitely kudos to such great, passionate development team for all of that. Yeah.
Well, and I think and I think you see that passion across the team. I mean, from Jing to the designers, like our sculptors, our engineers, everybody dives in and we all talk about those issues from the beginning. So we're all aware of them. We know where the problems are going to be for us on development. We know all the things we want to do to turn those problems into strengths for everything.
Definitely. So. Love that. I mean, that's a great way to be thinking about problems. Like, how do we turn it into strengths for that?
Yeah.
So my next question is about Cobb Vanth, the new TVC Cobb Vanth. He's obviously rocking Boba Fett's armor. So, is there?
He's gonna have to give that back at some point.
He really is. If I have to pry it off myself. No, I'm just kidding. So, is there anything that you want to highlight about that figure, or a detail that you really like?
Well, I mean, I think he's a great example of what a deluxe figure is.
Yeah.
I mean, he is rich in accessories. He is heavy in deco. And he's a Mandalorian figure too, so he's got all those layers of armor, all that assembly that goes into it. I mean, he is right up there at the top of that sort of stuff. And every time I look at him, I'm like, oh man, did we have to put that much deco on him? Yeah, we had to put that much deco on him. But because that's the sort of thing where it's like some characters demand that. And it's great to have Deluxe as a place we can pivot and move characters that demand that level of deco and that much detail and accessory stuff. It's nice to have that as an option.
Yeah.
Because if we were just trying to do that in our normal mainline figures, it just wouldn't work.
Right.
Yeah. I just think Cobb is a great character that we saw and that fans appreciated. You see him cosplayed all the time.
Are you trying to say he's cute? I don't want to steal Eric's line, but
Eric's not here. He's a very popular character. He was very cool when we saw him. He had great moments. To your point about the deco, the distressed silver that comes through if you take a closer look on him. And so it was just great to get such a deluxe figure with all the accessories on him. And one thing that I wanted to call out about that in general, we have the card back now.
Right.
So you see the scene, the card back scene on that deluxe packaging, which I think looks great. And we have it up there and you see it next to a regular vintage card back, and it's that's part of the collection. And I know fans have been telling us about that. So we're really excited to deliver that for deluxe cards going forward.
Cool.
So that's a really cool aspect about that figure.
Nice. That was the question I was about to ask. So thanks, Jing.
Yeah. You know what? We're in sync, Chelsea.
We are. So a lot of these new figures, they have completely new tooling, which is really cool. And I'd love to know a little bit about how you kind of budget for new tooling and everything else for the year. Obviously, you can't be here's the specifics, but how are you kind of deciding what kinds of things you can do, how much deco you can do? What are those conversations like?
Well, it's complicated. I mean, we're starting now talking about things for 26, just trying to get early work in, figuring out how much newness we can bring, just kind of on a general level. Because I think it's all pre-planning at this point, but knowing what we're going to have available to us, what we want to do. So, I mean, these figures we were talking about a year and a half ago.
Yes.
Right.
So it's trying to think back on the decisions we made to get us to where we are. It's the same sort of thing. We're constantly evolving, constantly fine-tuning and moving budget around to make the things the best they can be, and making smart choices for the different slots. I mean, we can't do new tools everywhere.
Right.
So how can we be the smartest with our partial tools and the dollar spend that we spend to get there. How can we make the most meaningful update to characters or make the most meaningful characters for those dollars? And like we just can't do everything new. So finding that balance is always the conversation.
I think one thing that Chris mentioned that it's worth just like taking a moment to think about is you mentioned a year and a half, like now we're planning 2026, right? Some of the things that we think about was discussions we had a year and a half ago, you know, like, and a lot has changed. There's a lot of like posts about what they want in the meantime and thoughts and, you know, just changes in what we see in entertainment and everything along those lines. So it's hard because like, you know, time sometimes go really fast and sometimes it goes really slow, but know that we're like constantly paying attention. And a year and a half ago, maybe this figure wasn't on our radar and now it is. And so we're excited to be able to bring it out now. For example, like Balin and Shin, those two pipelines that we're able to get out there because we know fans really wanted them and they've been on our radar, we've been thinking about them, and we can finally be at a point to let fans know they're coming. If we could do it like that, you know, we probably would. But
we would all love to be able to respond that quick. But it is, and a lot of it because of the feedback cycle and talking to fans and getting that feedback. You give us feedback right now, and we decide tomorrow to do a figure, you're not going to know about it for a year. So, and I encourage everybody to like have patience. We are listening, and like we're actively having conversations with the community to inform those choices. So, keep the flow coming. Like it's not bad, but patience is a key word there. It's like remember those development schedules.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like that's something that's really not talked about. Like you know, there's always critics online, right? And like they're very annoying.
Well, but it's also very good.
Question about the Jango Fett retro. Talk about that. I know we talked about this already, like earlier, but like talk about it again.
All right, Chris. You just gave him an open mic to talk retro. Do you have time? All right, go, Chris.
Yeah, we might need to add a couple minutes to this. Retro Jango. Baseline. It's always awesome to be able to deliver new retro figures for people. Prequel retro figures, right up there at the top of my list. And Jango, like such an important character in the Fett legacy, obviously. For many reasons, if everybody doesn't know, check Boba Fett Fan Club and figure out why you should appreciate that. But he's just a cool figure, and like he's different than Boba. So like we can look the classic Kenner Boba as an inspiration point, but it's not just taking him and painting him blue and purple. It's a completely new sculpt because like that character is a wider build than the original Fett was. I mean, details like the different blues on him, the undersuit color, the silver, and we did something specific on him. I wanted to paint the silver on him. Like, instead of molding grays and stuff, I wanted to make sure that the silver all got painted. So that was one of the things we prioritized when we were talking the mold plan and tool plan, so that we would mold his legs in purple and then paint the silver on top of them, and the same with the body, so that we really got that nice bright effect. So
Definitely.
I'm just gonna let him talk retro. He had his moment.
I love it. I mean, like the silver you've been using, like the silver paint, has been really nice. Like very like sparkly and like shiny. So
the Captain Enoch figures in both TBC and Black Series, I think, really highlight that too.
Definitely.
And I think a lot of that's just about getting the right density of paint and making sure, like, sometimes we have to paint things twice to really get the right layer, which adds to cost. So it's like we have to be careful and meaningful when we do that. But it's a tool in the toolbox. So
Cool. Is there anything else that either of you would like to add? I don't want to take up all your time.
I mean, for me, I do want to just quickly mention, like, we talked about Return to Tatooine being a theme for vintage. We did mention for San Diego, you know, we just had the Cantina HasLab Fun, that was a big focus on original trilogy, so we're going to do a little bit more media. for San Diego Comic-Con, but I love that we are trying to build that world, right, as much as possible. So original trilogy, for those fans that are out there, knowing that we're having some focus, we had some great pipelines with the campaign, for example, and then for San Diego, building around like that Mandalorian world with the Forge and the Shriek-Hawks, like all of it kind of coming together.
Yeah.
For example, in the hallway with Mando and Bo, like all of that coming together. We're really trying to create stories, and that's something that we're trying to build upon for, you know, maybe years to come.
Yeah.
So it's just a
We're excited to tell stories for 2026 in a couple years.
Yeah.
I was going to say, right now?
No, not yet. Yes.
Yes.
Maybe next San Diego Comic-Con.
Okay, I guess I will wait.
But-
I will have patience.
But I will,
Oh,
like,
she just threw
there you go. Yes,
your words
I like it.
back.
Yeah, no, that's good though. Wait, don't continue to bug me, but continue to bug me, because I won't just volunteer it sometimes. Sometimes I will. I will say, in regard to the Return to Tatooine thing, like that is an important program. Like the Cantina is the heart of that.
Yeah.
And especially in the classic trilogy world, like that's the planet that started it all. Like, so I think, but Cobb Vanth is clearly a Tatooine character, and while we're not necessarily lumping him under the Return to Tatooine because we're kind of keeping that focus to classic original trilogy. I mean, he is.
Yeah.
So, like, I want to see fans taking that and playing and building out that world beyond the original trilogy. I think there's a lot of room to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, who's to say Blurgs don't show up on Tatooine? They fly around in the Razor Crest. They can go anywhere they want.
It's so true.
That's true. Build your own worlds.
Yeah.
Build your own world.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, we won't take any more of your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
letting us
Thank
interview you.